So we have 3 whiskeys here, Mac, in front of us, and we don't know what is in these 3 glasses, other than we know that one is a Scotch, one is an Irish whiskey, and one is a bourbon. But we have to try to figure out which one is which, just based on the taste of these 3. Are you ready?
I'm ready. This will be easy.
Okay. You were that confident?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's get started here, then.
I think I know this one.
You think you know this one already, just based on the smell? It's impressive. I mean, looking at the color, they all look kind of similar.
They are very similarly colored.
They're all pretty light colored.
Color's not going to help us here.
Ooh. Quite a bit of burn on that one.
I think I'm getting what I've described in past episodes as a candy apple type taste, which I think is actually technically oaky taste.
Okay.
Now that I've thought about it more. My guess is this is the bourbon.
Okay, so right off the bat, you think glass number 1 is the bourbon. I might have to agree with you, but I want to try the other 2 first before I make that statement.
Hedge your bets. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, number 2?
Number 2. Number 2 seems to be a little bit lighter in color than the other 2.
This one smells more salty, maybe?
I was going to say spicy. Not like hot spicy. Like a little peppery.
This smells nothing like pepper. I don't know what he's talking about.
It's fair.
This has a much more mellow flavor.
Yes, it does. It's good, though. I like it.
Very good. It's
kind of sweet.
I don't know about sweet. Maybe sweet.
Maybe it feels sweet in comparison to the first glass, which was very harsh and biting, I thought.
I'm still thinking a little salty.
A little salty, interesting.
And that could just be because of how recently we had the other drink, though.
Ah.
I'm going to reserve knowing about this one.
You're going to reserve knowing about it.
Yeah. Let's see what number 3's like.
Okay. I liked number 2. I did not like number 1.
I like number 1 and 2 for different reasons. Is it too late to retract my earlier statement? I have no idea between 2 and 3, at the smell at least.
Number 3 does not smell like what I expected any of these to smell like.
What do you think number 3 smells like?
I don't know what it smells like, but I thought I had an idea in my head of what a bourbon, a Scotch, and an Irish whiskey smelled like, just based on the few we've tried.
Sure.
And I think number 1 smelled like a bourbon, and I think number 2 smelled like an Irish whiskey, and I have no idea what this smells like.
I agree with you on number 1. I thought number 2 may have been the Scotch.
I thought number 2 may have been the Scotch. Well, let's try this and see what we get here. Okay. Much more mild taste than the smell, I think.
I can't tell if I'm getting like a fruit flavor or not. The way I've made distinctions in the past is that bourbons have an upfront kind of kick, which I've associated now with the oak or candy apple idea. Scotches tend to be a little saltier or smokier, but also could potentially have citrus depending on what kind it is. Mm-hmm. And Irish whiskeys I've associated with being sweeter or having like a cookie taste.
Yes.
I haven't gotten a cookie taste from 2 or 3, so I no longer know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, too. I'm kind of confused. I'm pretty sure number 1 was the bourbon, but 2 and 3 confuse me. I thought 2 tasted sweeter than 3, but from what I remember from when we had Jameson, I would have assumed the Irish whiskey would have been the sweet-tasting one. Mm-hmm. But number 3 does not taste sweet, and number 2 did. But you think number 2 was the Scotch. I think number 2 was my favorite, and number 1 was my least favorite. But I'm going to give my final guess here. I'm going to say 1 was the bourbon, 2 was the Scotch, and 3 was the Irish whiskey, I think.
After reviewing my options, I agree completely.
Okay.
I think 2, after tasting number 3, 2 tasted a bit spicier, and it had a little bit more citrus flavor, and I think that is Scotch. So you said number 2 is Scotch.
I thought number 2 was Scotch, yes. So you said earlier that you didn't think number 2 was peppery. And then you just said you did think it was peppery after having number 3.
Yes. I think that compared to number 1, it just didn't have the kick that I was expecting because number 1 was so powerful. And I think that is kind of the risk we run sipping these all back to back to back.
I see.
After tasting number 3, though, I do believe that number 2 is the Scotch.
Okay, very good. Which one did you like the best?
I liked all of them. Gotta give it another smell. Which one did you like the best? I'm not sure if I can make up my mind.
I think I like number 2 the best. And if number 3 is the Irish whiskey, then I may need to rethink my stance on Scotch versus Irish whiskey.
Maybe you have a different preference based on when you're consuming.
That could be, yes.
I feel like, in general, the Irish whiskeys we've tried tend to be like a dessert type flavoring.
Sure.
So you might have it after a meal, whereas bourbon, I think, is kind of more like a football game pregame type thing.
That's very specific.
It is very specific. I don't watch a lot of football. Is that a bad thing?
It's an American drink and an American sport. I guess I could see them going hand in hand.
If I had to say that I liked one the best, I would have said number 1.
Okay.
Which I believe to be the bourbon.
All right, well, let's find out the truth here. What was in glass number 1, Kristen?
All right, so you were absolutely right. The first one was the Bullet Bourbon.
Bullet Bourbon.
And I actually put that one at number 1 to try and confuse your taste a little bit because I knew that would be the most powerful taste.
Oh.
I was confused.
I didn't like it.
Which is interesting. I'm pretty sure you did like it when we tried Bullet.
We'll have to check the tape on that. I'm not sure.
Fact check me.
I think I would give this one a 4.5. Really?
Number 2 was the Glenmorangie Scotch.
Okay.
Okay.
Leaving number 3, the Jameson Irish Whiskey.
Okay. So we were right, but that
It
doesn't...
took a while to get there, though.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
Yeah. I think I had trouble with the Jameson because it didn't taste like what I remember Jameson tasting like.
Maybe we haven't tasted Jameson more recently.
We may have to revisit Jameson, I guess.
Yeah.
And it very well could be what you said as well, depending on what we had before we had Jameson, could it impact how Jameson tastes.
It definitely smells more sugary now than a few moments ago when we first tasted it. So
Okay.
I definitely think that the precursor drinks tainted it.
There you have it. If you want to like Jameson, don't drink Bullet and Glenmorangie beforehand. It's not going to taste as good, apparently.
Apparently.